Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So, with the rise of feminism and saying how women are oppressed and how gender is just a social construct, and how clearly it's easier and better to be a man even though men are evil and women are oppressed, and work that out yourself with your own fucking cognitive acrobatics, we have a story here which is symptomatic of a great cause of 1,800 people, where a woman who claims she was crushed into taking experimental puberty-blocking drugs at 16 wins the right to take NHS gender clinic to court in a landmark case. And this, of course, comes on the heels of the NHS saying that they don't need to serve racists, and their whole idea of social justice coming into what is supposed to be a service that serves everyone in the public, seeing as everybody who's paying international insurance and the tax are earning above about 12 grand a year is paying into that. It's free at the point of use. You pay into it all the time, therefore you are insured when you need to use it. And yet they're saying, after Bristol led the way, oh no, we don't actually need to serve people who we think are racist or transphobic. And given that they're saying they don't need to serve people who they think are transphobic, that now that they are accused of being too accommodating to people who believe they are transgender, it shows how backwards their thinking is, and how they have not thought through their positions at all, and how if they refuse service to anybody that they deem transphobic, they have no fucking clue what they're talking about, seeing as their push for transgenderism is deemed unlawful. So then anybody that they refuse to serve on the basis of them being transphobic is also unlawful. So you've got what you deserve, NHS, for fuck's sake. Under what is supposed to be a conservative government. How the fuck is this happening? Who the bloody hell knows? It's almost as if the Conservatives actually have no morals, and all they care for is obtaining power. So, with this in mind, let's use this case study to show us the greater cause, and how the suicidal rate is much higher under transgenders, same as smoking addiction as it happens, and how this doesn't change even if they transition. Yes, that's correct. The suicide rate before and after the transition remains to be the same, of staggeringly high compared to the rest of the population. So, here we have Curabell, 23, who started gender reassignment at Tavistock and Portman NHS Trust. And yes, it is important to point out that, of course, just an individual, like anecdote, doesn't mean data, it doesn't mean law, it doesn't mean rules. Yes, of course. However, in this instance, we are using a particular case study which has been met with a lawful response and is a landmark case. So it is applicable to use a single example as a view for a wider societal trend, and it isn't just cherry picking, because this is actually a landmark law case. So the clinic is being sued over concerns it gave experimental drugs to children, and this is all new, so of course it's experimental. They're just pushing their own political agenda. They have an idea they want to push, and they don't care about the victims. And that is the worst bloody thing. That it's supposed to be from a thing of, oh, we're just trying to help these children be the people that they want to be, which is fucking bullshit, because it isn't that at all. It's instead these fucking self-serving adults who are thinking, well, this is my agenda, these are my politics that I wish to pursue and wish to force down everybody's fucking throat, and in doing so, I'm going to throw as many children as I want under the bus so that I can push my political agenda and get the desired outcome I want, even though I don't care how many casualties there are along the way. But of course this is symptomatic of communism, which now has 100 million dead people to their name, mainly due to starvation, because centralized command never fucking works. So it's the same old thing with a different story. This time they don't care how many victims they get to gender reassignment surgery and puberty blocking drugs. So Miss Bell has stopped transitioning and argues staff did not challenge her views. Yes, they are so progressive that, they could never argue with a child. You know, the so-called medical professionals who are supposed to actually know what they're talking about, because they've had about 7 years of medical training during their university degrees and other training after that into being nurses and doctors and what have you. But no, clearly the 14-year-old child knows best. Yeah. The one who's been alive only twice as long as you have had studying your particular specific field, they clearly know better than you do. What bullshit. Where the fuck is the parenting gone? Jesus Christ. How the fuck would you think, big government, they clearly know what's better for my children than I do, who's also grown up and actually known my child for 14 years. Clearly these people who just see them as a data point on a bit of paper know what's better for them than I do. What the fuck's happened? So the judge in the case said it was plainly arguable the clinic was acting unlawfully. And that is being far too lenient. Plainly arguable. Not definitely correct. Not unrefutably definitely correct. But plainly arguable, as if suggesting that there was actually a case that they were acting lawfully. As if. Given that, as we will get onto, she had what she says 3 hours of therapy before they went, yep, you're right on track for puberty blockers. So a woman who claimed she was given experimental puberty blocking drugs at 16 without being warned of the consequences is set to lead as a witness in a landmark case. And I don't care whether or not they are experimental or not, given that the fact of the matter is that somebody who has just had 3 hours therapy, somebody who doesn't seem to have had the express permission from the parents as well, who should be looking after them, they were just given them. I went, yeah, we can't argue with you. We can't actually think, maybe you should consider not changing the status quo and actually consider what the consequences of your actions are. And as far as I'm concerned, the same argument goes for abortion. I mean, I'm pro-choice, as bad as that might sound, to say that, yes, you can kill these unborn babies because I really don't give a fuck. But sure, kill them if you want. Understand that you are actually killing a human life, bear that into consideration. And because of that, I don't think that abortion should be easily accessible by everybody. But I do think that they should be explained what their options are and actually told, well, hey, you have an opportunity here to give birth to a human life, and it is a great experience to go through, and so on, as the professionals are trained. That they should be told that, as well as, yeah, go kill the unborn child. Why not? That's not traumatizing at all. The same goes for this. It's like, yeah, you feel like, I don't know about being a woman. It's like, oh, well then, why not try and be a man? There aren't any consequences with that. You definitely won't change your mind about that either, will you? Definitely not irreversible. I waited all of those things. So Miss Bell has now stopped transitioning and argues staff did not challenge her want to become a teenage boy. Yes, of course, I think personal responsibility is most important, but when somebody is that young and doesn't actually get told that personal responsibility and personal accountability is actually a choice, then that is a huge problem. When people keep being told, oh yes, just pass on your thoughts to the experts, they'll tell you what to do, and you can rely on these other people to tell you what to do the whole time, that is a huge, huge, huge problem. And I think it is vitally important that Miss Bell has now learned to not trust so-called experts into deciding her own life, and that she holds the key to her own destiny. But it would be nice if she could have been told this much earlier than she has been, and she didn't have to go through all of this in order to find that outcome. So, as I mentioned before in bullying, I think this is far more important. Actually be told that, yes, you are responsible for your own outcome. So, Miss Bell is now waiting to see if she has fertility issues following the drugs and claims she should not have been rushed into treatment because children cannot give adequate consent. Well, of course, and yes, now they're robbing her of motherhood as well by the sound of things if she is infertile, as gender reassignment does cause infertility. In which case, seeing as International Women's Day is coming up in March after all, and I think that International Women's Day is a great time to celebrate women who have really been supportive. They've been great mothers. They've allowed people to persevere and pursue the goals that are meaningful to them and to take the risks and to stand by them and be supportive the whole time. That then when it comes to gender reassignment and not being able to have children, then that robs them of that important part in their life should they wish to pursue it. And that's evil. So Miss Bell says, I'm constantly taken for a boy. She previously said in an interview with the Daily Mail, I get called sir when I speak to the officials. I worry what women think when they see me using their loos or changing rooms, because she doesn't feel like she belongs in either sex. To quote, I'm living in a world where I do not fit in as a male or as a female. I am stuck between the two sexes. So she's been left in limbo land for no good reason. So barrister Jeremy Hyam QC said Miss Bell underwent the treatment that is an issue in the proceedings. He added she very seriously regrets the process and feels that the way it was handled and her involvement in it was not appropriate. Ms. Bell said there was no resistance to her want to be a boy, even though she was little more than a child and had only just started having periods. The Tavistock gave me hormone blockers to stop my female development. It was like turning off a tap. I had symptoms similar to menopause when a woman's hormones drop. I had hot flashes. I found it difficult to sleep. My sex drive disappeared. I was given calcium tablets because my bones weakened. Yeah, so they basically went, we're fighting against your biology. Nothing to worry about. We'll just give you more tablets in order to counter the already dreadful damage that we're doing to your body. And this is so much an issue that they say that from 2009, 2010, 2017, 2018, from 40 girls under 18 who were referred to doctors for gender treatment in England, just 8 years later, the number had soared to 1,806. That's 400 times as many. Yeah, over the same period, annual referrals for boys increased from 57 to 713. So still hugely substantial. Half as frequent, sure. So 20, not 40 times. But nonetheless, I think this shows more that they're buying into third wave feminism to say that women are constantly oppressed and it's better to be a man than it is to be a woman. But then boys who were told basically that it's evil to be a man and therefore they don't want to be a man and they'd rather be a woman even though they're oppressed because the men are evil and so they'd rather be a victim than actually take responsibility. And this whole fucking shit. It's like, yeah, men and women are not equal, okay? Women are vulnerable, they're sensitive, they're weaker. But, of course, they're mothers. They should be cared more for. And they're more adorable. They're adored more. And adorned more for. Whereas the men, they take the responsibility. They are the decision makers. They take the risks. But, of course, they also get the rewards. In which case, they can divvy out those rewards as they see fit for the woman that they want. It's as simple as that. So men have the more dangerous life, but the more rewarding life. And women have the simpler life, but the easier life because they're cared more for. And men and women are biologically programmed more for that, where men are more of the risk takers, hence they die younger, they're more prison populations, but of course they're also more the CEOs, whereas women are much more conservative, at least married women if we're looking at politics, and therefore they live longer, and they're better for the children to make sure that they don't hurt themselves. It's as simple as that. Is this the case for everybody? No, of course it fucking isn't. But is it the case for the vast majority? Yes, of course it fucking is. And it's as simple as that. So women, oh, they're victims. It's like, yeah, but it also means men are actually going to protect them. That also means more men are going to die protecting women than women are going to die protecting men. That's so obvious, it doesn't even need fucking saying, does it? Of course, more men are going to die than women protecting anything, for fuck's sake, because men are expendable and women are adored. And that's just the way it's always been. But tell me again how women are oppressed by men. Oh, the men are so impressive. They've been killing each other over protecting women for millennia. Oh no. And you know how men are so oppressive to women. I mean, like, let's be real, guys, that men actually developed labor-saving devices for women, like dishwashers and washing machines, before they developed life-saving devices for men to stop them getting black lung in coal mines. Yeah, because so oppressive to women that saving them a bit of time and labour was more important than actually saving men's lives. But yeah, tell me again how women have been oppressed for freaking ever. But yes, transitioning. So, to wrap up, Tavistock and Portman NHS Foundation Trust said, "We welcome the opportunity to talk about the service and to stand up for our dedicated staff who put the best interests of the young people and families at the heart of their practice. Well, let's hope that after this they actually become more balanced. Obviously, the NHS, since the Beveridge Report, has always been a more left-wing push, as socialised health service, the National Health Service always has been. Whether or not it's a good thing, that's up to you to decide, but it's always been a more left-wing thing because it's much more socialist. Of course, the Conservatives have been in charge for it longer than the Labour Party has, evidently, but nonetheless, that's how we stand now. So, with this in mind, that it is finally a landmark case, I'm always intrigued, as always, to hear what you guys have to say down below. If you think that, hey, things might actually change now, seeing as there is actually a charity set up to help people detransition, Or if you think, well, no, we're fucked. This is clearly how it's going to go. It's been increasing for 8 years and it's going to continue to increase. And the repopulation rate has evidently dropped. And so we're fucked. We might as well just fuck it all, burn it to the ground, start again, because this shit is fatal. Let me know down below, and until next time, have a good one.